Hello, and welcome to episode 2 of Freelancing Fight Club. I'm Christine Ashton.
And I'm Jennifer Marsh.
In our first episode, we talked about some of the misconceptions we initially had about what freelancing would be like. I think a lot of would be freelancers share these misconceptions, and it's probably for the best if you know exactly what you're getting into.
The fact is, not everyone is cut out to be a freelancer, and that's okay. Depending on your personality type and your situation in life, you might be happier just getting a regular full time job. How do you know whether freelancing is right for you? We've come up with some questions that you can ask yourself before taking the plunge.
The quiz will consist of 12 questions, and you should honestly answer each one yes or no. Then you can tally up your score at the end and make an informed decision. So, question number 1 is: do you have a marketable skill? Now, this would seem obvious, but a surprisingly large number of people don't consider this when deciding to become a freelancer. And I think there's a lot of misinformation out there from people who are trying to sell courses. They'll say things like, learn WordPress in 2 months and then you can start making $5,000 a month as a web designer. That might have been true 15 or 20 years ago, but it really isn't now. You need to do something that's in demand, and anything that can be easily learned within a month or two will have just way too much competition.
I think that one thing that I see a lot of, especially people in the US, is they think they'll have a side hustle and they'll just do something like data entry. And there's too much competition for something like that, especially with AI. You should find something that is not only a marketable skill, but something that you can use to stand out.
Yeah, and I think especially people have these fantasies that creative jobs are going to be easy to get into. Like, you see people saying, "Oh, I was really good at writing essays in high school. Maybe I could be a writer." That's no longer true either, unfortunately. With AI, it's taking over most entry-level jobs. So you're really going to struggle if you haven't got a good portfolio of your work and some real-world experience and some real-world results to show clients. You've got less chance of making it as a freelancer. And the same goes with graphic design. I see graphic designers all the time who have maybe like designed their cousin's wedding invitations or something, or they've learned Canva in their spare time. That's not something you're going to be able to market either. If you're not sure, one thing you can do is just ask strangers for advice, get a portfolio together, put it on some website like Behance or Dribble, and ask strangers for their opinions, because your friends and family members are probably going to be kind and encouraging to you and not necessarily give you their honest opinions. But when people can leave anonymous comments, they're going to be brutally honest with you. And you might as well figure out if your portfolio is good enough to compete with people who've been doing it for years and years.
I think the moral of the story is if it's easy and a lot of people can do it, it might be too competitive for you to get into freelancing.
Yeah, you need to have not just okay skills or mediocre skills these days. You really have to be able to stand out from all the other people who are doing it. So, yeah, be realistic about whether you have a skill that you can sell.
Agreed. And question number two: do you have at least 3 years of real world experience? Probably not a good idea to try freelancing straight out of university or high school. The best thing to do is to go into a career, a job, something that interests you. For me, it was software development. I learned from experts, people who knew what they were doing, so then I could go and offer those services as a freelancer, and it helped me stay ahead of my competitors.
Not only have we seen people right out of university wanting to freelance, but people who are still students or even high school students saying that they want to make money on the side. You're really honestly going to be better off just getting a part-time job in McDonald's or retail, and then at least you'll get some customer service training and probably some experience juggling multiple tasks and participating in meetings and problem solving, and that's gonna be a better foundation than just nothing at all if you're starting to freelance. The other thing too is I think a lot of university students, they know that the job market is tough out there, and they think it's gonna be easier to get a freelancing job, and that's just not true. If you're an eager go-getter, you show some promise, a full-time employer is going to be more patient and more willing to train you than a freelancing client. Freelancing clients want to hire people who can hit the ground running, who don't need any hand-holding. So if you think it's going to be hard to get a real job, it's going to be even harder to get a freelancing job, honestly.
I agree, especially in a global market where people will have the same amount of skills as you do and will work for $5 an hour.
Yeah, I agree. So, question 3, are you good at marketing and sales? So, having a skill is only part of the equation. Clients don't just come to you because you're good at something. You need to convince them that you are the absolute best person for the job. A lot of new freelancers, even ones with years and years of experience, haven't given this any thought and haven't decided what their marketing strategy should be and don't know how to get on a sales call and give a pitch or negotiate or close the deal.
I would like to point out that this is a question where I would probably say no when I first started. I had social skills, but marketing and sales, probably not. I learned through experience and probably desperation because I needed the money. But I do think as I learned marketing and sales, I started making more money. I started getting better. I was more confident in talking to clients. So if you don't know marketing and sales, you will struggle. But I also think it's a learnable talent that you could probably get better at, even if you say no to this question.
Yeah, I should probably stress that you can say no to any of these questions just as long as you realize that this is something that you're going to eventually have to become good at and be willing to learn. Before I started freelancing, I actually took marketing courses and copywriting courses. It's something that you can work on for sure. Like a no answer to any of these is not necessarily a deal breaker.
Yes, I think you're definitely better at marketing and sales than I am. I feel like I'm very good at selling myself when I know exactly what the client needs. I need to work more on cold sales where I have to sell myself in a situation where the client isn't really sure if they want to work with me or not, or maybe they don't even know if they need me. So,
Yeah, that's the difference between marketing and sales.
I'm a software developer at heart, and I think software developers struggle with this for sure. Question 4, do you have any training or experience in providing good customer service? Or if you've only ever had an office job and no experience in dealing directly with the public, you probably won't know how to deal with unhappy clients or de escalate conflicts. Now, I feel that this one is probably something I was mediocre with. And I feel like you have to up your customer service skills by 1,000% when you're a freelancer.
I had an advantage because I have had jobs where I was dealing with the public and things like I was a travel agent for a while in the past. And they would actually send us on proper customer service training courses where we would do role playing and we would learn how to deal with difficult people. Or if I mishandled something, I had a manager right there who said, you should have said this. And so that really helped. I feel like I've avoided disputes and major problems just because I do know how to de-escalate conflict. But the thing that I always remind myself about is that the client and I have the same goals. You should be on the same page. And if they say things like they don't like your work or they're not happy with the timeline or they're not happy with the price, you have to hear them out and try to approach things from their point of view. And you often hear the customer is always right. I don't think that's necessarily true, but you do have to understand their point of view. They are the ones who are paying. You are the ones who have to make them happy. So, yeah, just if you keep that in mind and just sort of stay calm and don't take things personally, a lot of the times when they get upset or angry with you, it's because they're frustrated.
I feel like you should look at your work from the most objective place possible, which can be very, very hard when it's your work.
Again, this is something that it's not a deal breaker if you say no, that you haven't had any training or experience, but you have to be willing to learn and just try to learn and analyze every situation where if something goes wrong or you have an interview and it doesn't go well, just try to learn from your mistakes, really.
I agree. I had many mistakes myself in the very beginning, but I also tend to overanalyze myself a lot. I try to feel like, what did I do wrong in this situation so I don't do it again?
Absolutely. I mean, there's no winning. Even if you think that the client was a horrible person and you were right and they were wrong, you still lost a client.
Exactly, exactly, and I think you and I both have kind of the same idea of when I get a client, I would like to hold on to that client because I want them to come back. Whenever they decide they need somebody like me, I want them to come back to me.
Yes, and the key is providing good customer service.
Yeah.
That's what's going to make the difference between you having repeat business and not repeat business.
Yes, I agree.
So, question 5. This is a big one. Can you survive without a steady paycheck for at least 6 months? If you don't have at least 6 months worth of savings, or maybe even a year, certainly if you've got a good job already, don't quit your job until you're sure that you can make a go of freelancing. Also, you have to take into account, do you have a mortgage, kids, car payments, expensive taste? Freelancing for me was a lifestyle choice, and I was willing to make financial sacrifices to make it happen, but not everyone will feel the same way. Also, if you become desperate for work, it can lead you to make some really bad decisions or maybe even fall for a scam. So, having a financial cushion enables you to hold up for the right kinds of jobs and clients.
This one especially hits home hard for me because I didn't really have 6 months in savings. I probably had more like 3 when I started freelancing, and I got into a very precarious situation financially. After that, I decided I feel like you should have a year.
It's also going to depend on what sort of benefits you're getting at your current job. If you've got the kind of job where you get 6 weeks of holiday a year and a dental plan and a healthcare plan, you're going to be losing all of those things. So think about whether you can afford to lose them.
I agree, and I personally, and I think you too, Christine, I did not have anybody to support, so I didn't have to worry about food, insurance, so think about things like this too before you get started.
Right.
Question number 6, are you a self-starter? This is really important one. Nobody is going to provide you with the training and you won't have a boss or a manager to tell you what to do. You have to be prepared to figure things out for yourself. And this one, I am definitely a self starter. I was so much a self starter that I used to get in trouble at work for just taking initiative without asking for permission first,
Mhm.
which was very annoying to me. So this one I was 100% on board with.
I think this is down to a personality type. The other things we're talking about, they're things that you can learn how to do. I think you're either a self-starter or you're not, and if you're not, you're really gonna struggle. You have to not only be able to do it, but enjoy the whole process of learning things yourself, looking things up yourself, problem solving yourself. You have to like being the person who's in charge.
I think you're right.
Question 7, are you a risk taker? Ask yourself if you're prepared to invest time and money in something that might not work out, because 50% of businesses fail in their first year, and 90% or more of the people who join freelancing websites never make a single dollar. So, are you going to be able to just roll with the punches and try this out and then just sort of cheerfully go, okay, it didn't work out. That's fine. I'll be fine. Or is it going to be absolutely devastating to you, either financially or emotionally?
I agree. I'm a risk taker personally, and a lot of people who become successful fail at first. And they just keep trying more and more things and they'll experiment, they'll do different things until they become successful. I was going to make it work and I tried a lot of different things. I'm probably 100% on this one as well as the self starter.
This also relates back to how much savings you've got, because if you've got a nice financial cushion, it's less of a risk, obviously. If you're starting out and you've lost your job or you're a student or you're trying to make money as a side hustle, if you're already low on funds, you have to understand that you might be losing more money than you're making. So that's going to be an even bigger risk for you.
And as a risk mitigator, you could get a job and kind of work on your freelancing on the side.
Yeah, that would actually be the best option.
Yes. So, question number 8, are you good at time management? Can you juggle multiple projects and set priorities? Are you a good judge of how long a project will take so that you can provide accurate cost estimates to clients? Will you be able to motivate yourself when there's no supervisor watching over your shoulder? Personally, I am pretty good at time management, but only because I'm probably my own worst boss. I realized when I started freelancing during the day, I felt like I always needed to find something productive to do. So I thought I was pretty good at time management.
I'm very good at meeting deadlines because I'm very goal oriented. And of course, I believe in providing good customer service. So I need to be completely reliable to my clients. But I am a terrible procrastinator about some things. If something isn't an immediate, urgent thing, then I will just put it off. And the biggest difference for me when I transitioned from having a full time job to being self employed was that there was just no structure to my day. There wasn't this whole schedule of I need to be at work at 9 and I can take lunch from 12 to 1 and I've got a coffee break at 2 and then I've got a meeting at 4.
Yeah, I agree. I also decided one of my perks would be not waking up to an alarm clock, but I still wake up around 8:30 or 9. As long as you're making deadlines and getting things done, then I think it's fine. You can't just blow off a client deadline because you have no boss and you're the owner of your business. You're the one in charge. You have to kind of understand that time management is a little bit of the client and a little bit of you taking responsibility for a project.
Something that works really well for me, I know that there's all kinds of apps and calendars and online things that you can do to manage your time. But I've always been a big believer in just making a list on a piece of paper and like physically crossing things off with a pen. I just find that so rewarding and it really helps me to organize my day.
Some personalities work really well with that. I tend to be kind of uh freeballing it. That's probably a terrible way to put it, but I do. I just figure out whatever I need to do and get it done, and it works for me. I think time management is something that is particular to the freelancer, and you can pretty much do whatever you want as long as the client is happy. It works.
Yeah, I agree. There's really no right or wrong way, but it is something that you're going to have to figure out for yourself.
Yes.
So, question 9, are you prepared to do all of the tasks involved in running a business, even the boring ones? So, that's the thing I procrastinate about. I hate bookkeeping. I hate invoicing. I hate doing my taxes. Any sort of admin things, I just put off till the absolute last minute. The other thing is just learning new software. I'm pretty sure I should be learning more AI stuff, trying to stay on top of that.
I agree. I have a hard time with this one, especially if I've got paying work. I will procrastinate on the admin work. I'm not a fan of taxes either or paying bills, but you have to make sure you get these things done. What I do personally is set aside a day. That day is usually Sunday. I'll put all of my boring stuff that I don't want to do on a Sunday so that I can kind of do it slowly with nothing else, no clients wanting to talk to me, no work if I don't have an urgent deadline. That's what I do to keep up with the boring stuff.
This is another key difference between running a business and having a job because when I was at my 9 to 5 job, 5 o'clock would roll around and you just go home and you don't ever think about it again. Running a business is something that is just never ending. There's always more that you could be doing. There's always ways that you could be learning things or improving your marketing or working on your online profiles. It's never ending and it can be overwhelming. And that's, I think, what leads to procrastination because you think, I can never get to the end of it.
That is probably very, very true. I'm always trying to figure out something I can do for my business.
Yeah, you always do have to be thinking about it and get around to it eventually.
Exactly. Okay, question number 10. Will you get lonely if you spend most days by yourself? I will say that I am super introverted, so being by myself is something that I actually enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, it was never a problem for me. I did have a workplace where I really did have a lot of good friends there and enjoyed their company and everything. But I loved working from home. I adapted to it really, really quickly. But there is a danger of becoming a hermit. And some people do really miss the social aspects of, having a little chat by the water cooler kind of a thing. Also, it's really hard to make friends if you don't make friends at work. You have to find other ways, like events to go to or clubs to join or hobbies to take up. You have to make an effort to connect with other people and schedule social activities.
I have seen freelancers talk about being lonely and they really hate it. Maybe one of those, what is it? Shared workspace places
Yeah,
might be
a co-working space.
a co-working space that might be useful. I've seen freelancers talk about that helps with their socializing.
Yeah, a co-working space can be a good option as well, and some people really enjoy having a bit of structure and having an office to go to. I have a club here in Bristol where I sometimes go. I generally really love working from home, but every now and again I'll go have lunch and a friend and I will just get out our laptops and find a table and work together. So that can be really nice as well. That can be like a little bit of a halfway option.
I agree. I feel like you'll have to work on this one if you don't like being alone. It'll be a difficult one to overcome.
Right. Not a deal breaker though, and you can learn to really enjoy it. I know I do.
I agree.
So question 11, are you assertive and confident? So ask yourself, how is your confidence level? Because this is going to be a key to establishing trust and getting clients to hire you in the first place. It's going to be very difficult to do sales and close deals if you aren't confident about your abilities, or if at least you can fake it till you make it. And if a client starts getting demanding, can you handle it politely, professionally, firmly? You're going to need to learn how to set boundaries and stand up for yourself.
This one I had to learn. I agree. Assertive and confident are difficult things to learn when you first start out in freelancing. If you have a marketable skill, though, going back to that, if you have a marketable skill and you're good at that marketable skill, you should be able to learn or at least have confidence from the beginning. Question 12, do you get stressed easily? It can be very stressful to have no steady work, to face rejection, and to have no coworkers. If the thought of having no support and having to handle everything yourself makes you anxious, then maybe you're not cut out for freelancing.
Yes, I mean, even now we're going into the Christmas season. It's traditionally when it gets really dead for freelancing. Even after all this time, having no work for a few weeks can be pretty stressful.
Yes, you need to learn how to deal with stress. I know some people need to talk to their friends. Some people, like myself, go play with the dogs. I go to the gym. That's a de stressor.
Again, this is something that doesn't have to be a deal breaker, and it's something that you can get better at. It's very stressful in the beginning when you're a freelancer, and then it gets less stressful as you're going along. So just like keep that in mind. There's light at the end of the tunnel.
Light at the end of the tunnel. Exactly. Let's add up the number of yeses for your responses. If you had 10 to 12 yeses, you have a good chance of success. If you have 8 to 10 yeses, you have a chance of becoming successful if you know your limitations and you're prepared to work on them. 6 to 8 yeses, you have some of the right stuff, but you're probably not prepared to start freelancing yet. You might want to work on those things that are challenging to you, then try again in a couple of years. If you have less than 6, you might be happier at regular employment,
At least for now.
at least for now.
We're not trying to discourage anyone, just be realistic.
It's important to be honest with yourself about your likes and dislikes, strengths and limitations. It's not for everyone, and it's better to learn that early on than waste months of or years going down the wrong path. If you decide to move forward in our next episode, we're going to start going into more detail with step by step advice about finding clients. So, depending on where you happen to be listening to us, please like or follow and subscribe to our channel to learn more. Thank you for listening. Bye, guys.
Bye.